World-renowned dancer Misty Copeland pays homage to the Black ballerinas who paved the way for her to break barriers. She has written a new book that profiles 27 dancers to inspire the next generation. I'm thrilled to welcome Misty Copeland to Quicktake to talk more about her latest labor of love, Black Ballerina. Misty, it's so good to speak with you. Congratulations on your new book. This is your 7th book to be published so far. And I don't know how you find the time for it, but I wonder how long you've been thinking about, planning, and kind of mentally writing this book.
Yeah, this is, I feel so proud of this because I feel like it's my life's work. I feel like my purpose has been to go beyond the stage and use my platform and my voice to really uncover our history as Black people in ballet. So this has really been throughout my journey of being in ballet since the age of 13, being the only Black woman often, growing up in the settings of my training in classical dance, and then joining American Ballet Theater and being the only Black woman in the company for the first decade of my career. I feel like it's something that I've needed to do to feel like I belonged and to feel like I was making the right choices in being a part of this art form. But it's incredible to have found so much of our history that hasn't been documented as Black ballerinas throughout the 400 years that ballet has existed.
Yeah, you're trying to connect yourself to this lineage of Black ballerinas, and it's obviously very personal for you. You profiled 27 ballerinas. Is there any one dancer that you connect with the most, that lingers with you, that you think about when you're dancing, when you're not dancing, that you kind of keep coming back to all the time?
Oh, that's so hard. 27, I have been such an impact in my life, but they are far from the long lineage of Black dancers. Like, this is not a comprehensive list, but if I had to choose one, Raven Wilkinson, who passed away a couple of years ago, was someone who came into my life, a Black ballerina who danced in the 1950s with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. She was the first Black ballerina to dance in that company and dealt with a lot of adversity and racism in the South and the KKK and things that I can't even imagine dealing with. But she came into my life and kind of gave me a second wind to believe that I did belong on this journey as a classical dancer and that there was a much brighter future than I even imagined. But it was knowing her story, knowing that I was a part of a history bigger than myself, that gave me the motivation to keep going.
That's great, and that's what you bring and give to the next generation of dancers as well. You talked about how you were the only Black woman when you joined the American Ballet Theater, ABT, and for many years, the only Black ballerina. You were, however, surrounded by a lot of male dancers, male Black dancers, and you saw the way that they navigated the white ballet world. Why is there such an imbalance, first of all, and what did you learn from these male colleagues?
Yeah, it's difficult to find boys that want to participate in dance, which is mind blowing to me because it's a sport. It's an athletic feat. We're not competing like sports, but it's that. It takes that much physical dedication and commitment and sacrifice to be a part of, but we're just constantly lacking enough boys. So the ballet world has been open to taking brown and Black boys over Black women because we desperately need them. But it's been such a big part of my journey to be able to step back and watch how others navigate to learn how I want to proceed. I've never been someone that just kind of like stepped up and kind of spoke before I really understood what, the situation of things. And I've really just learned that way by watching how other people operate and learning, it's like just learning how humans connect and interact. And that's been one of my strengths in navigating this very white world and this very white field, is learning how to communicate with people in a way where it feels like it's a conversation and it's not kind of one-sided or an attack.
Yeah, that's definitely a skill set that you are forced to develop, and obviously you've done it well. You may not realize this, Misty, but you're quoted a lot on Twitter. Every few hours, someone quotes you on Twitter, and there's a quote attributed to you. I mean, I was looking through it, and recently a very popular one is, "The path to your success is not as fixed and inflexible as you think." Now, I'm not sure when you said this, but I'm curious as to how it applies now. Has the pandemic changed your idea of what success looks like?
Yeah, it absolutely, I think, has changed so much for everyone in the world. For me, it's opened up the arts in a way that I never imagined it would in my lifetime. I've been fighting for more diversity and for having the conversations about racism in ballet and including more people, making it more inclusive. And within the pandemic, I feel like we grew, in leaps and bounds, just within the last year and a half by witnessing the murder of George Floyd, by having this racial reckoning. The ballet world has really kind of stepped back and looked at themselves and thought, how can we improve? And so I think it's definitely changed how I see the future of dance and how I see the contributions of Black and Brown people within this field moving forward.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because another quote that came up a lot is one where you say, be strong, be fearless, be beautiful, and believe that anything is possible when you have the right people there to support you. So in the wake of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, what kinds of people or institutions or organizations have stepped up to show their support?
What's been surprising for me is just people's understanding and hearing things in a different way. By having this collective reckoning. So for me, it's not so much one person or institution, but, for instance, okay, maybe it is an institution, American Ballet Theater, the company I dance for. Like, I've been very impressed with how they've stepped up internally, and it's not something that often has been a show when you think about diversity initiatives, especially in fields where it's, majority white and not very diverse. It's not just about putting me on the cover of a pamphlet and saying, okay, we've checked our diversity box, but the work that's being done behind the scenes right now at American Ballet Theater, I'm so proud to be a part of this company. The real conversations we're having about, the microaggressions, the vocabulary that's being used, ways of really progressing forward and being more inclusive. That to me is the brightest thing I could see in terms of how we move forward in this world.
And I hope the burden is not on someone like you to do the work and show everyone how to get there as well. I mean, that's on everyone to do that. I wonder as well, given the pandemic that we're in still, a lot of people have experienced burnout. Have you experienced burnout during the pandemic?
This has been an interesting time for me, and I'm definitely not, the typical person. Like, I feel like I'm in a very fortunate position. For me, this has been a moment for me to step back and really dive into things I haven't had time to do. Being in this field, being in classical ballet, we have short careers, and there's not often a lot of time to stop and really think about what else I want to do outside of performing on stage. And so, though I've been fortunate to be able to write books and, speaking engagements and things like this has been a moment for me to really step back and reflect on how I can bring the most value to, my reach and my platform, without just being a symbol on the stage. And so this has been a very reflective time that I feel like I've grown in so many ways, in seeing myself as a leader, not just on the stage, but even more so behind the scenes, and inspiring and impacting, influencing the next generation to be able to do the work that I'm doing.
And I want to pick up on that idea, because I know you think a lot about empowering the next generation. Black Ballerinas is a great example of that. But the thing is, in professional ballet, competition is cutthroat. I mean, especially if you're an underrepresented minority. It's easy to feel that there's only room for one woman in the C-suite or one Black ballerina soloist. Katie Couric, for instance, talked about how being generous and mentoring younger women, can sometimes feel like you're grooming your successor. Did you see any evidence of that in your research for your book?
I've always felt very comfortable in this position. So I don't feel like, writing this book is kind of the first time I'm entering into this position or feeling this responsibility of like being a mentor. But I think it's part of my responsibility of being in this position to expose more dancers of color, because it's so empowering when you know there's more than just you out there. It's something that's maybe not in your, that's in your subconscious, but when you think you're the only one, it's even more cutthroat, and you really do believe that there's only one spot. But the more that we support one another, especially as females, to have a sisterhood and support one another, there's just always a better outcome. For me, it's never been about there being one spot at ABT. I've done everything in my power to bring young brown and Black girls up after me, whether it's reaching out and to the school at American Ballet Theater, trying to get scholarships for these students, showing the staff that they are out there and exist. That's how we progress.
Misty, fantastic to speak with you.